we went over um, King Herod, and we went over a few prophecies, and we followed the astrologers, the wise men, all the way to Bethlehem, and we got to see baby Jesus and how beautiful he was and how peaceful it seemed. Almost like you don't want to leave. It was just so tranquil and so peaceful. And you could probably see in the distance maybe some fire pits here and there. But you gotta really imagine yourself being there in this time period. And you gotta actually imagine yourself being these people, standing where they're standing, seeing what they're seeing. I'm sorry if my voice fades in and out. I've got to find another microphone. I think I have another one here somewhere. Kind of found these in a throwaway box that nobody wanted, and I saved it and dug it out of the dumpster. And surprised it worked, but yeah, it keeps fading in and out, so I apologize for that. Um, but now what is the flight into Egypt? And this also covers a few other prophecies in the Old Testament, which I've heard many people tell me that it doesn't. But I don't see how it doesn't. I don't. I don't get it. But anyway, as we keep going, and they'll argue. I love it when they argue with you about things like the rapture, or they argue once saved, always saved, as we're seeing with some of these preachers and pastors and whatnots. Um, we're gonna journey into Egypt because we gotta fulfill a prophecy in the Old Testament, and we see an angel of the Lord, and it suddenly appeared to Joseph in a dream. How many times have you had a strange dream, like a warning? You see an unusual person or something, or you remember it. Excuse me, I have to get something to drink. I've had dreams, and when I was growing up, where I thought they were so real, of angels trying to get me out of situations that I couldn't understand, or demons that were trying to kill me, or murderers trying to take my life, you know. And here we see Joseph having a dream, similar dream to like what I used to have growing up because of what I went through, what I've seen when I was a kid. It was heartbreaking. There's no 4-year-old should have to go through what I went through. No newborn should go through what they go through. No child should go through that much pain and suffering. I don't care how old you are. Excuse me. And he appears to Joseph in a dream, in another dream. And here we are, we're seeing this dream. And he's not telling Joseph. He's not asking Joseph to do something. He's commanding Joseph. There's an emergency about it. And how many times have you had dreams about something that was so real that it was life or death. I have. It was almost enough. It shook me to the core, to the very depths of my core. It was a warning. See, that's what happened when I was 4 at midnight on Halloween night, October 1974. But that's a story I want to get into as time goes on. And I want to explain how I can understand Jesus, why I worship Jesus, why I don't worship Jesus, excuse me. I follow Jesus and worship God. Let me make this correct. I follow Jesus and worship God. I don't worship Jesus. I follow Jesus. See, I'm still having to learn to unlearn everything I was taught. Did you get that? I had to unlearn everything that I was taught. Because everything I was taught was a lie. It was. Everything I was taught was a lie. I didn't know it. My family was a lie. My church life was a lie. My government was a lie. My family was a lie. I lived a lie my whole entire life. And you'll understand what I mean. Because every one of us lives a lie. We don't even realize it. Because we're too blind to it. Because we've been mind, what is the word I'm looking for? Mind controlled. We forgot how to ask questions and read books for ourselves and begin to do our own research. So instead of having to do our own research, we're going to pretend we're actually here in this time period. And we're here in Joseph's dream, and we're dressed like Joseph and Mary, depending on your sex. And here we hear the angel commanding Joseph, get up, get up. Don't ask no questions. Just get up. Take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you otherwise. Herod is searching for the child to destroy him. Herod wanted to kill this child. He was searching all over Bethlehem, everywhere. He wanted this child dead. So God had an angel appear to Joseph to warn him to leave and to flee to Egypt. So he did. Imagine having to pack everything up in the middle of the night, everything you own, packing it up, taking your child and your wife, and you head out in the cover of darkness. And you're trying very hard because you have to remember there are Roman guards everywhere and soldiers everywhere. So you gotta be very careful, especially when you have a bounty on your head. So they're looking for a man, a woman, and a child. So Herod didn't forget about this baby Jesus or the wise men. No, 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 no. He did not forget about that. Oh, no. He's furious now because they never came back. And he's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for him to return. And here's God warning Joseph in a dream with an angel, get out of Bethlehem. You need to leave now. How many times have you been warned? How many times you be going to a bar and something told you, kept screaming at you, leave now. It was like it was commanding you to go. I've had that happen to me many a times. I've been to churches where something told me just to get out of there. It's not a good place. They're not going to help you. I remember there was a time when churches used to keep the doors open, and now they close them. Anybody could walk up in there, any homeless person. Now they're ashamed of you. Usually they'd give you a cup of coffee and let you pray or give you comfort words or some food. Now they close the doors on you. Sometimes they'd give you a place to sleep. Not anymore. Why? Why? We're going to cover why. See, there's a reason I'm talking about all this stuff. Because to me, all religions, all the way from devil worshiping, Christianity, it's all devil worship. There's only one path that leads to God. And Jesus tried to show it to you, but instead you worship him. And he never said to worship him. Why? Why do you do it? So here we see an angel come in, so they flee to Egypt. And here it's searching everywhere, all over Judea and Jerusalem. I mean, he sent his military out looking everywhere for him. So they left that night. And imagine, they couldn't even have torches to see by because they're running away in the cover of the night in fear that they're going to be spotted and murdered and killed. Do you know what it's like to have a gun held to your head? To look down that barrel thinking that it's your time to die and you never even had a chance to live? You never had a chance to live. What gave that person the right to take your life? Who? Who gave that person that right to cheat and lie and steal? I'm a sinner too. Do you know what it's truly like to be terrified? Do you really know what it's like to face death straight on and see Satan, Lucifer, the Antichrist, whatever you want to call him? What it's like to see Jesus standing before you, and you can't even explain the beauty and the awe of it, and the pure light that came from everywhere but it nowhere, and not understand why nobody can understand when you could say you saw each and every person in his face and every color and every race, but nobody believed you because why? You were 4 years old. You were innocent. You were pure. You were a virgin. You were pure, untouched. But what if that was all taken from you, stolen from you? Then what? Shame on the person that allows a child to fall into sin and leads the child into sin. You should always remain childlike. I never had that chance. Go figure. You don't understand what it's like to have the government your whole entire life chasing you down. You don't know what it's like to always have to run See, Jesus kept running. He had to run. His parents ran from the government because they were trying to kill their child. I understand that feeling to being chased down from the age of 4 on, being thrown around from one place to the next, not knowing, not knowing. That's the scary part, not knowing. But you can never go back because there's nothing to go back to. It's gone. You can only go forward. Why start over? Start where you failed and keep going, keep trying. Yeah, I sound like I'm just going on and on and on, but there's a reason. There's a story behind what I'm trying to tell you. See, I want you to imagine how Mary felt as her heart raced, her mind spinning, tears streaming from her eyes as she's holding her child. Her husband putting her on the donkey and quickly trying to escape in fear of being caught. His mind wondering and having to put his trust in God and doing as he was told. Because now you don't know who to believe or who to talk to, who to talk. And now you start to think you're crazy. See, something inside you changes when God touches your soul. Something inside of you changes. See, I told you the story is his story. And he tells you your story through his eyes. And you don't believe me and didn't believe me. And I'm going to prove that to you. The story of man and the downfall of man. See, they stayed in Egypt until the death of Herod to fulfill what the Lord, excuse me, to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophets. And what he said is, out of Egypt I have called my son. So Jesus came out of Egypt. They fled into Egypt for protection and safety because Herod wanted them dead, because he feared to lose his throne. And they stayed there for as long as it took. And in this meantime, all this was other stuff was taking place, and they were escaping, and the astrologers disappeared to another route back to their homelands. And here's Mary and Joseph sneaking off in the middle of the night to Egypt with this newborn child. They heard one dead. You know, here we are watching this all unfold. Now Herod's angry. Herod's furious. So now here we are back at Herod's palace. And he is just raving mad. By this time, he's a lunatic. He's lost it. Why? Everybody left him. They didn't care about him. He wasn't important to them. The king they were talking about didn't come from a palace. The king I'm talking about didn't come with jewels or with bells on or sounding any alarms. Uh-uh. See, the man I'm telling you about came from humble beginnings, simple beginnings. And some of you understand what simple beginnings means. Humble beginnings, where you had nothing. You had nothing. You you came from nothing because you had to leave everything behind. Everyone you loved, everything you cared about, everyone you cared about. And you had to leave in the middle of the night because some crazy man wants you dead because he thinks you want his throne. But that's not the reason why Jesus came. It wasn't for that throne. Even though he could have easily taken it any time he wanted to, anytime he chose to, but he didn't. He spoke against government and religion. And you say he didn't? I'm going to prove he did. He stood up for those who didn't have a voice, the sick, the lame, the blind, the deaf, the mute, the possessed, the demonic. He stood up for them all. He even spoke of the Ten Commandments, which he said he never did. See, here in 12 and 2, we cover, let's see, 15 it looks like. Hosea 11:1 we covered. On Matthew chapter 2. But I'm pretty sure we'll cover quite a bit on chapter 3. In Matthew chapter 3. But we still have to cover the innocence and the return to Nazareth and why these stories are so important. And then we'll get into the red letters of the baptism of Jesus and why Jesus' baptism was so important. Why it was so important. Because it was to fulfill prophecies of the Old Testament. So don't tell me the Old Testament does not go with the New Testament and that it contradicts itself, because it really doesn't if you actually understand your history lessons. I'm not completely stupid. I did have some high school education. I just never graduated. I never had college education, but I'm smart. See, I'm telling you my life story for a reason, because I can understand how Jesus and Mary and Joseph, because I've had kids, I've been through having to run my whole life, never having to be able to stay in one place, always looking over my shoulder thinking that somebody's going to do something, kill me, something. I don't know, because of my faith. Because I believe that it's not about religion, but about spirituality, about being one with one another, loving each other, loving your enemies as yourself. And yes, it's hard. Because sometimes I want to smack some people upside their heads. And I'm sure some people want to smack me upside my head. Mutual's probably the same. But I can understand your plight. And I can give you compassion and love and sympathy. I could be the person that you can cry your eyes out the shoulder. You know, there's always that somebody we miss, we forget to see, we look over. And I'm going to show you that. This book is not just about Jesus, but it's your story too. That's what you don't understand. And it's not just my story, it's our story. And we're seeing it unfold right now as I'm telling it to you. Look around you. So you don't have to follow me. Yeah, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook. I go by Audio Night. Here I go by Roxy Night. I'm the same person, so I'm giving myself permission to do the same videos from there to here. Only because of copyright. So, infringement, I don't want no copyright infringements. So I'm giving myself permission to do these videos on YouTube in front of live millions of people, if anybody even looks at them. Because these are not my stories. And I want to give God the glory. And if it's His will, then He's gonna get these videos out there to the right people. And somebody's gonna listen to them. And somebody's gonna share them and love them and like them. And someone gonna put some nasty comments there. I don't care. But I'm gonna talk from the heart. And I'm telling you my story. And yeah, my story, it does. I don't always talk about it because it scares me sometimes. Because there's a world I don't want to face. You gotta face your own realities, your own demons. I had to, still have to. Sometimes they still like to come up and haunt me, and I still have to chase them away. So that's the reason I'm doing my testimony with this. I'm only letting God lead me, and I don't. It's not about me. It's about what He did for me and what He got me through and what I had to conquer and face. That's the part you're not understanding. That I am a sinner just like you are. That I am not a saint. No one's a saint. Anyway, remember, you're the light of the world. You're the salt of the world. Always keep your armor of God on. You're the voice in the darkness. Remember this. You have a story to tell. Why are you afraid to tell it? God bless you.